saying no can be kind of tough sometimes, right?
Right.
Like we've all been there, agreeing to things that we don't really want to do
Mm-hmm.
just to be nice or to avoid awkwardness.
Yeah.
But like learning to say no well can really make a huge difference.
Definitely.
So today we're doing a deep dive into some tips you've given us on how to master this whole saying no thing.
Awesome.
So I'm really curious about something.
Okay.
It's this whole idea of like categorizing different ways to say no.
Right.
Like why even do that?
Well, it's all about recognizing the situation and tailoring your response, you know?
Okay.
It's kind of like having different tools in your toolbox.
Okay. I like that analogy.
So you might need a polite and professional approach for work,
Makes sense.
a casual tone for friends,
Yeah.
empathetic and friendly when you need to let someone down gently.
Oh, that's a tough one.
And then sometimes you need a firm but respectful no to draw a clear line.
Okay.
And then there's the humorous approach, but that takes a little caution.
Right. You don't want to undermine the seriousness of it, right?
Exactly.
What about when you need a little wiggle room?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't want to say yes,
Right.
but you don't want to say no either.
That's when you use an indirect or softened approach.
Hmm.
It buys you some time without closing the door completely.
Okay, so those are the categories.
Yeah.
But what are some actual real-world examples
Oh, sure.
of how to say no in each of these situations?
Okay, let's start with polite and professional.
Right.
Imagine your boss asks you to take on a new project, but you're already overloaded.
Yeah.
You could say, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm at capacity right now,
Okay, that's good.
right? It's direct,
Uh-huh.
but it also acknowledges your boss's perspective
Right.
and doesn't leave them hanging.
Okay, let's talk casual.
Right.
So like a friend invites you to a party,
Yeah.
but you just don't feel like going,
Instead of making up some excuse,
which I always do.
you could say, thanks for the invite, but I'm going to take a rain check this time.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
Much better than a fake dentist appointment.
Now, what about when you need to let someone down gently?
Hmm.
Like someone asks you on a date
Oh, yeah.
and you're just not interested.
This is where I really struggle.
This is where empathetic and friendly comes in.
Okay.
You could say, you seem like a really great person, but I'm not feeling a romantic connection.
Okay, so you're being honest but not mean.
Exactly.
Okay, what about those times when you need to be more assertive,
Mm-hmm.
like with someone who's pushy?
Right. A gentle no just doesn't cut it.
Okay, so what then?
Firm but respectful is key.
Okay,
You could say, I understand your request, but my answer is no.
short and to the point.
And it leaves no room for misinterpretation.
Got it.
Okay. And don't forget about humorous.
Okay, but when would that be appropriate?
Let's say a coworker is always asking you for favors.
Hmm.
You need to set a boundary.
Right.
Instead of getting annoyed, you could say, if I had an extra pair of hands, I'd totally help you out, but alas, I'm only human.
Okay, yeah, that's funny.
And it lets them know you're not taking their request too seriously.
Makes sense. And what about indirect or softened?
That's useful when you need more time to think
Yep.
or want to avoid a direct confrontation.
Like when someone asks you to donate to their charity
Right.
and you're not sure if you want to.
Exactly.
Huh?
You could say, let me get back to you on that.
Oh, that's good.
Or, I need some time to consider your request.
Those buy you some time without committing.
Exactly.
Mm.
So you can see there are many different ways to say no.
Yeah.
And the key is to choose the one that fits the situation.
Wow, this is giving me so many new ways to think about this.
Good.
It's not just about the words, it's about the psychology,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
So we've talked about the different categories
Mm-hmm.
and some specific examples.
Yeah.
Now I'm really curious
Okay.
about how we can actually apply this stuff.
Right.
Like in real life, what are some tips for choosing the right no phrase?
That's a great question. But first, I want to ask you, our listeners, something.
Okay.
Think back to a recent time when you struggled to say no.
Yeah. Think about the context
Who are you talking to?
and what kind of no might have worked best in that moment.
It's a good exercise
Yeah, it is.
to help you practice.
And to be more mindful
Exactly.
about how we say no.
Because it matters.
It really does.
Yeah, that feeling of struggling to say no
Mhm.
is something we can all relate to.
Yeah.
And, it's often tied to these deeper things, like worrying about what people think of us.
Oh, yeah.
Or damaging relationships.
Oh.
It's not just about the words themselves.
Right.
It's about the emotions involved.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's say you're asked to volunteer for something,
Okay.
but you're already super busy.
Yeah, been there.
You could say, I'd love to help, but my schedule is packed right now.
Okay, so you're acknowledging their request,
Mm-hmm.
but also setting a boundary.
Right.
What about, like, when a friend asks to borrow money?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, and you don't really want to do it.
Yeah, money and friends, it can be tricky.
It feels like a taboo subject almost.
But it's important to protect yourself.
Right.
You could say, I'm not in a position to lend money right now.
Okay, so it's clear, but also respectful.
Exactly. You're not accusing them of anything.
I think it really helps to have some go-to phrases ready.
Oh, absolutely.
That way you're not caught off guard.
Yeah, you don't want to be scrambling for words in the moment.
And the more you practice, the easier it gets right.
Definitely. It's like building a muscle.
And it's not just what you say, but how you say it too, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like your body language matters.
Totally think about it.
Okay.
If you say no, but you're avoiding eye contact and
Yeah.
like mumbling,
Uh-huh.
it sends a mixed message.
Right. It makes you seem unsure of yourself.
Yeah, but if you make eye contact, stand tall,
Mm-hmm.
and speak clearly and confidently,
Okay.
it makes a big difference.
It's like you're embodying the no.
Exactly.
It's not just words. It's like your whole presence.
And this brings up an interesting question.
Okay, what's that?
What are the unspoken messages we're sending when we say no in different ways?
Okay. I'm listening.
Sometimes our choice of words reflects deeper stuff.
Like what?
Like, if we're super apologetic when we say no,
Yeah.
it might mean we're afraid of disapproval,
Makes sense.
or we have this need to please everyone.
Like we want to soften the blow.
Right.
But then on the flip side,
Yeah.
if we're too blunt or aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
it might mean we're afraid of being taken advantage of.
Exactly. Or we need to assert dominance.
It's like we're overcompensating.
It's all about finding that balance
Right.
between being assertive and respectful,
Mm-hmm.
and the more self-aware we are,
Yeah.
the better we can handle those nuances.
This is making me think about so many things. Like there's this whole hidden language
Here is.
behind the way we say no.
And the more aware of it we are,
Yeah.
the better communicators we become.
And the better we can advocate for ourselves. It's almost like saying no is a form of self-care
Oh, I like that.
because you're protecting your time and energy.
Yeah, and creating space for the things that matter.
Exactly.
So let's go back to that question I asked earlier.
Oh, yeah.
About a time you struggled to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think of a situation?
What was the context?
Who are you with?
And what kind of no would have worked best?
Mhm.
It's easy to just get caught up in the moment, right?
Oh, yeah,
And feel like you have to say yes.
for sure.
But taking a step back really helps.
Mm-hmm. Gives you some perspective.
Yeah, you can really figure out what's best for you.
Exactly. And even if you do end up saying yes,
Okay.
you can use these no phrases to kind of set boundaries.
I see what you mean.
Like you could say, yes, I can help with that project, but I won't be available until next week.
So you're not overcommitting.
Right. You're still being helpful, but on your own terms.
I like that. And you know what?
Oh.
As you get better at saying no,
Mm-hmm.
people might even respect you more because you're being clear about what you're willing to do.
Exactly. It builds trust
Yeah.
when you're honest about your limits.
So it's not about being a jerk or anything.
Yeah, not at all.
It's about being self-aware,
Mm.
communicating well,
Right.
and really focusing on what's important.
It's about living a life that feels right for you.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
So true.
Some days saying no will be easy.
Mm-hmm.
Other days it'll be tough.
The key is to keep practicing.
Yeah. And reflecting on how it goes.
Exactly. You'll get better over time.
And maybe even have some fun with it.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Like finding your own signature no phrase.
I love that.
So to everyone listening,
Yes.
we encourage you to experiment with these different ways of saying no.
See what works for you.
Notice how it feels, how people react, what you learn about yourself.
It's a process of discovery.
We're all in this together.
That's right.
Happy knowing, everyone.
Uh-huh. Yes. Happy knowing.